to your LEAP initial training. Um, First of all, I'm Selene. Great to meet you. Secondly, I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a background. What I'm going to do is I am going to record this training in a couple parts. So instead of one long video, it'll be easier for you to go back and reference exactly the parts that you're looking for. So with that said, I'm going to dive right in. I'm also going to turn off my camera just so that you aren't missing part of the screen with my face here. So first of all, a little bit about Leap. Leap is a cloud-based practice management and trust accounting software. So when I say cloud-based, it means everything is continuously backed up to the web. So as you know, there is the desktop app, but it's just constantly syncing. If for some reason though, your internet goes down, or you're traveling, or for some reason you don't have access to the internet, the nice thing is that having this desktop app means that you can actually continue to work offline. And then once once you reconnect to the internet, it'll automatically back up anything that you did since you were last connected. The first thing that I'm going to do is kind of give you an overview of, Leap as a whole, where to find things, kind of how to customize this main screen, and how to create matters and cards. So just kind of the very basic overview in this video, and then I will start a new video to dive into the next part. In order to access Leap, the easiest thing you can do is just click your Leap icon that is pinned to the taskbar. There's two other ways that you can access Leap. One is online through leap365.ca, which I will show you right now. You just go here, accept the cookies, log into Leap, and you can log in using your regular Leap login credentials. This is really nice if for some reason you don't have access to your regular computer, or even for a bookkeeper. There's a few things that you can't do in the Leap 365 version that you can do on desktop. For example, you can't archive matters in here, things like that. But it gets you about 90% of the way there if you need to access it on the go, which is nice. The third way to access Leap is through the mobile app, which I will show you a little bit more later. So once you log into Leap, this is your main screen that will always show up, and this is called your matter list. So you'll see all of your matters here, matter number, matter type, other, which is going to have can have other notes on it. You can also see there's like other side, or it really depends on the matter type what information shows up here. But a lot of times it's it's either other side or kind of details, like for example in a purchase it's the address. You will also see the responsible lawyer here, status, and province. Now the nice thing about Leap is that you can customize this view depending on what works for you. So for example, you can just drag and drop the columns, which is really easy. You can also sort by any column just by clicking on it. You can also choose, instead of the person responsible, if you want, person acting, person assisting, introducing lawyer, whatever it might be. And there's even more ways of filtering it just by clicking up here, this little arrow, is you can see, current matters. You can see just your current matters. You can also filter by, which role you play in these matters. You can just see recently viewed or edited, matters with receivable balanced, trust funds, unbilled funds, and then you can even get into any more detail. So there's just kind of more ways of filtering that. The other thing you can do is you can also turn off some columns. So for example, staff column. If it's not useful to you to have a staff column, then you can just turn this off. Same thing, province column. If you only work in one province, having a province column is redundant and takes up space, so you can just turn this right off. You can also choose if you want deleted matters to show, and you can group by status or by client. So if you want to see all of your kind of clients and then be able to, just toggle open and closed any of the matters related to that client, That's another way of doing it. And then of course to just ungroup, you just go back here and ungroup. And then you'll see the status here, which is just dependent on the critical dates, which I'll show you a little bit later. Some other things that you'll see on the screen is a menu bar up here. When you open this menu bar, you've got a few kind of options. Let me see if I can move my recording bar. There we go. You can see all of your first of all, your matters, your cards, your anything you've shared through LawConnect, which is a document sharing portal. You can also search all correspondence, which is not just like emails sent, but like comments, Word docs, Excel docs, absolutely anything with text. You can search not just the name, but also the content, which is nice. You can see any saved custody here, so physical documents you're holding for clients. There's a document compare tool. There's a conflict check tool, which we'll get into. So you have some kind of main options here. Under accounting is where you will find your firm-wide accounting tools. So you can go into matters and do everything at a matter level, like create an individual invoice for a matter, record time or fees for a matter. If you want to, for example, create invoices in bulk for your whole firm, you can do it here. Send invoices in bulk. Make trust bank deposits in bulk, like say you've collected several checks, you can create one single deposit for all those checks. Your trust bank reconciliation is here. Your firm-wide timesheet, time and fees, expense recoveries. Your QuickBooks integration link is here. You can print checks, search transactions. So all of your firm-wide accounting features are here. You can also find your reports here. We will go into that later, but when you access your reports, it basically opens it in a browser tab. Any other kind of apps or integrations you can find here. And then settings, about, you can find down here. And we'll get into the kind of nitty-gritty details of these later. To close your menu, you can just hit the X, or you can just click anywhere else. You'll also see a few icons along the top, and a lot of these are common no matter where you are in Leap. So for example, you have the printer icon in any screen in Leap, but depending on where you are, it's going to affect what prints. So if we were to click on print here, it would print the matters list. If we are in kind of an invoice and we hit print, it's going to print the invoice. If we are kind of in the trust section, it's going to print the trust ledger. So it's going to print, what it prints varies depending on where you are. There's also kind of a refresh button to reload it. Leap is really, really good about just syncing instantly anyway, but if you just can't wait, or for some reason your internet's slow and it's not loading immediately, you can click that. You also have this it's like a little tiny clock with a box on the bottom right. That's your timesheet. And we'll get into the timesheet later, but you can access this timesheet button from no matter where you are in Leap, which is really handy. You also see your name here. You can use that to sign out. You have your little notifications icon. So you can see all of your notifications firm-wide. You'll also notice on the side here, you can see any matters that individually have notifications. And you'll see here that some matters are locked. We'll get into access and permissions later, but I'm just showing you that you can kind of see it there. Other kind of options, we've pretty much covered it here, but you'll just notice that you can also kind of access that print and reload just from the top. And then we have the help button. So of course, every program, pretty much in the history of programs, on the top right has a question mark button. What's nice about Leap is it's got a lot of different options for help. So the first one that's really, really valuable is called help for this window. Similar to the print button, it's going to show you it's going to take you to a different help page depending on where you are in Leap. So for example, from this matter screen, I'll click it in a second to show you, it's going to take you to the help window for creating a matter and working with your matters list. If you were, for example, in the time and fees tab, it's going to take you to the help page for tracking time and fees and creating fee entries and stuff. There's also the general help and support database where you can search across all of the Leap help pages. There's kind of like a what's new for updates, status alert. There's a lot of options. I'm just going to click the help for this window one for a second and just show you what that looks like. So if you ever get stuck in Leap, lots of options. So like I said, it's going to take you to your matters list because that's where we were with, kind of accordion tabs on searching for matters, sorting your matters, filtering, grouping, different things. So, and it also shows you how to do it across different platforms. You can also go back to the regular Leap Help Center and knowledge base. You can search for articles. Leap also has an awesome live chat support on the bottom right here. It is open, I think, most like weekdays until 8 p.m. Eastern time, so it has a long range of support. If it's ever after hours, you can just basically create a support ticket. There's kind of how you would start live chatting with a support agent. You can see related articles, knowledge base, community, which is like a message board, like a forum for Leap. And then you'll also see down here there's a forms library, so you can see all the forms that are available on Leap. You can also log a support case through a forum without having to go through live chat. And the last thing that I really want to show you, there's a couple things I'm going to show you, but the most important one is called Leap University, which is like an online e-course that's broken. It's all the training that you need to know, but it's broken down into bite-sized short videos. So there's getting started with Leap. There's time and billing, general accounting, trust accounting, document management, document automation. There's ones for family law in BC, family law in Ontario. There's companion products. So for example, like Buy Lawyer. There's one for the Leap mobile app. And once you go in, you have to register for the course first, which I will just do quickly. But you can see it's, again, broken down into short little pieces, like 4-minute videos, 3-minute videos. So you don't need to literally take the whole 48-minute course. You can just be like, okay, I need the video on sharing a document via Law Connect. I don't need these things. I know how to do everything else. So if you learn better by video than text, Leap University is kind of the good option for you. If you ever have like content feedback, like something's missing or you have special requests, Leap actually listens and makes updates based on that. So there's there's lots of help options in Leap. So back to the Matter page. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a Matter. But before that, I'm going to show you how to do a conflict check. So we go up to menu, and just under home we have cards. Cards are basically like they're any sort of person or business that you interact with in your firm. So they're not just your clients. They are also, other lawyers, other sides parties. They are your like vendors or suppliers or subcontractors. They are the courts. They're each going to have their own card. I'll also get into creating those in a second, but you can view them or create a new card from here, view people. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to do a conflict check. So to create or run a new conflict check, you can also see past ones here and you can sort and filter by date. But I'm just going to click new check and I'm going to search for whatever it is that I'm checking. I'm going to choose one that I know I have in here already, so something will come up. And you can choose whether you want an exact match or just to let it run. You can also put in like information or details about the conflict check here as well. I'm going to hit search. And you can see here there's some potential conflicts. There is Mr. Mickey Mouse in Maple Ridge, BC. There's also some correspondence involving Mickey Mouse. And we have the same, like there's one kind of card. He's on the other side. So turns out my client is Minnie Mouse and she is in no way related to Mickey Mouse. So I can say, running conflict check for Minnie Mouse, not related to Mickey. It's just Mouse is a common name, right? No conflict found. I don't know, whatever you want to write, right? For your notes. Or maybe there's a conflict and you want to note that as well. So that's where you can save it, you can save and close, whatever it might be. You can also attach it to a matter. So I just run this conflict check to see if there is a conflict. I haven't even started the matter because I don't know if I'm going to take on this client or not. But what I can do later on is once I create the matter, I can attach it to the matter from here, which is nice. You can also run, obviously, like multiple conflict checks and attach multiple conflict checks to matters. So there's lots of options. Before I get into creating a matter, the other thing I'm just going to show you really quickly is how to search for a matter. So anything that is on the screen is searchable in this search bar. So matter number, client name. Just a side note, you can choose whether you want it to be short or full name. So right now I have short name, which is just the last name. But if you want it to be your client's full names, you can also select that. And I believe it's full name by default. Just every time I run training, I change things. So what my leap looks like is not going to be exactly what your leap looks like. So you can search by matter type, other. When you create a matter, you also have the option to add custom text here. So for example, insurance file number. So if you want to search by the file number, it'll pop up. Today I'm going to search by another common one that I know is in here. And so I was going to search for Jennifer, but you'll also see that just as you start typing, anything with a J in it is going to start popping up. As we kind of narrow it down, the list is going to get short. And this client, because, I'll just move it to full name so you can see. It's Mrs. Jennifer Carrot, so that's why it's popping up. You can also run an advanced search if you want to search by the matter number or client or matter type or instruction date. Anything like specific, you can choose if you want like a date range versus a specific date, you can. And also you can do a property search for any property like addresses in your system right here. So we have done a conflict check, we have searched the matter list. Now we're going to create a new matter. There's a few places you're going to find the new matter button in Leap. This is not to confuse you. Leap just likes to have multiple ways of accomplishing the same thing, so that if you're looking to do something, you're not just like, oh, where's that one specific tiny little button or way of creating a new matter. So what I mean by that is under menu here, you can create a new matter. Up here, you can create a new matter. You can also right click anywhere on the screen and create a new matter. If you're clicking on a specific matter, you can make a new matter for the same client. You can make a new matter based on this matter, so it's going to duplicate like the matter type, all kind of the background information. It's like duplicating the matter, but it's going to create like a new matter number and stuff. You can also open, delete, create a mailing for it, archive it, see the history of changes on it. So there's some other kind of right-click options as well. The other thing you've probably noticed is that there's an option to create a new matter from a recurring template. So a recurring matter template is a really handy way to reduce kind of the admin grunt work for types of matters that you do frequently. Like let's say for a property, a conveyancing or something, you have all of your regular templates, you have all your regular documents, you have all, your classic setup, right? Instead of just having to set that all up the same way each time, even if you're like, the fixed fees, right? You can pre-enter all the fees and all the disbursements. So that's how, I have a conveyance sale right here. To create or manage that, you just go to recurring matter templates and you can create a new recurring matter template where you open it, you set up the matter the way you want it to be as the template, and then you can, then go ahead and duplicate it. I'm just going to create a new matter completely from scratch right now. So for the purpose of this training, I am just going to do probably, I don't know, like property purchase, some sort of conveyancing. That's pretty easy. But when you open this, you will see that there are a big list of kind of matter categories, like what's your practice area. And then if you click into it, you'll see specific matter types. So you can see construction, and you'll notice some have stars here. If you right click, you can favorite it and choose to show your favorite up top. So you can see I have all of my favorite matter types up here, and actually purchase is one of them. And then on this side, once you click your matter type, you'll see that you have the option here of choosing your province, choosing your client. So are you representing, who is your client, right? In this case, it's, let me just re-click this. When I change the province, it unshows it. There we go. Are you representing the purchaser, or are you going to call it the client? or, is the other side the vendor then. If you are representing the vendor, you can just easily swap them. Oh, in this case you can't because it's a purchase, so you're not going to be the vendor because otherwise you choose sale. But in other kind of matter types, you can just swap them by clicking the arrows, or you can choose them from the menu. Other side's lawyer is the vendor's lawyer. There's no insurer in this case. Now description, auto, where it says purchase. This is the part that you can customize in order for you to have custom text here. So instead of having it be auto, I can say purchase, 123 4th Street. And what that will do is it'll say, or here, it's almost like we do the same kind of trainings over and over, because here's purchase of 432 1st Street. That actually wasn't me. That made that one. Once the information's in there, you can click OK. You can go back and change that later if you need to. Sometimes like one matter type ends up turning into another matter type, or whatever it might be. So you can always change that. Here we come to the new matter detail screen. So you can see matter status is in progress, and matter number is TBA. This will always be TBA until you save it for the first time. And the reason for that is that you might just like back out and be like, oh, I don't actually want to go through with it, cancel, or you might change your mind. So that way it's not like wasting matter numbers. So once you save it for the first time, it will it'll automatically assign the matter number. If you don't have matter numbering turned off, this is where you will manually enter what you want the matter number to be. The next one is staff. So you have your introducing lawyer, person responsible, person acting, person assisting. To change these, you can just go through and change the settings there. You can also record where this work came from. So work obtained, was it from Facebook? Was it from Google? Was it from, the title company or real estate agent or mortgage broker? If you have reporting groups set up, you can choose your reporting group. And you can also choose the specific person that referred you the work. So the reason this is nice is that you can then pull reports under, the reporting module that shows where your work is coming from and your specific referral sources and what the dollar value of that referral source is. So if I'm discovering that this one mortgage broker is sending me like $50,000 a year worth of work or $100,000 a year worth of work, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm nurturing that relationship to make sure that it continues. So to do that, I'm just going to click on this little window here, and I'm going to choose the card from my list. If there are too many here, then you can start typing. I'm just choosing one at random, or you can create a new card if they're not in your system already. If it is a company card that have staff on file, you can also choose a specific staff person at that company. The other thing you can do on the screen is restrict access and permissions. So say it's a sensitive file, or you for some reason only want some people to have access to it. You can choose who gets access. You can add additional staff. You can remove people, etc. So that's the matter details. Matter title is Leap will automatically assign like a reline to a matter, but if you want to have your own reline, you can uncheck this and manually enter your reline. You can also choose whether letters to your client look different compared to letters to other parties. So for example, the letter to your client might be like your divorce and separation matter. A letter to other parties might be the divorce and separation of, and then like the client name or the parties' names or whatever it might be. The next tab is accounting. So if you're like, oh, this is probably going to be like $5,000, you can put in a fee estimate and a disbursement estimate and turn on warnings. This is good if you're billing hourly, but your client doesn't want to go over a certain amount, or you've told them that it's going to be under this. Because then what's going to happen is when you get to, and by the way, you'll just see this is 5,000 including tax, so that's like the subtotal, but maybe it's 5,000 plus tax. So you can kind of toggle that on and off. My estimates warning is set to 20%, which means that when you get to $4,000, when you start creating new time and fee entries, it's going to pop up saying, hey, you're over your fee estimate or you're within 20% of your fee estimate. And that's going to let you know to maybe wrap things up, to slow things down, to have a conversation with your client that it might cost more money. This is also good for if you have a fixed fee client and you're tracking your time, to make sure you don't go over your hours. So there's a few kind of options why this is helpful. You can also say if you want a minimum trust retainer balance. You'll see throughout Leap it says general retainer in a few places. 99.9% of the time, as you know, lawyers in Canada cannot take general retainers. The reason that exists is for that like 1% where maybe somebody using Leap wants to be able to take a general retainer and is allowed to by the Law Society. For example, sometimes notaries use Leap, and notaries might, take a general retainer or something, right? So that's kind of, or I've had a paralegal that uses this, and she bills lawyers and she takes a general retainer. If you have a billing category, you can set a billing category. If you have a flat fee, you can check this off and put that flat fee in here. What that will do is when you create your first invoice, it will override any kind of other time and fee entries and automatically invoice it for $5,000 plus tax. So you can choose to turn this on, or you can also add a fee entry later for that flat fee amount, but you have the option of putting it in here. You can split invoices. So let's say, it's an incorporation and it's going to be invoiced to two parties and they're going to pay 50-50 or any other kind of percentage. You can choose how that invoicing is going to look ahead of time. You can also add default tax codes and default expense codes. In this case, it's going to be Ontario HST. And that just means that throughout the matter, you don't have to remember to select them because it's just going to default it for income and expenses. You can also say if a retainer agreement is required and the date received. You can also, if you have more than one trust and more than account, you can choose which trust account you're going to use. And then there's, like extra debtor comments you can put in here. So for example, like, father is paying legal bills or whatever it might be. You can make a note of that under debtor comment. The last option here is custom fields. You will notice once you get into Leap that there are thousands of possible field options for almost anything you could ever want. But just for some reason, there might be a firm with an additional field that's not in the matter that they want to have recorded, in which case you can put add, and you can either choose from the list, or you can create a new field to put in your preferred contact method. Maybe it's email. I don't know. There's also there's other places you can put this as a note. I'm just using it as an example. So I know I talked through this a lot. In real life, this takes 15 to 30 seconds to complete. But once it's all done, you hit OK. And now we are going to get to the part where you can create a card for a client, or your client specifically for this matter. There are a couple types of cards, but typically they're either people or they're like a business, company, government department, or a trust. People cards are pretty easy. Choose their salutation, choose, first name, last name, or not choose it, but, enter it. If you want to note previous names, you can, like a maiden name or maybe like a legal name change. Relationship status you can put in here. You can choose gender. You'll notice there's a lot of information that it can possibly collect. You only need to enter, the more information the better, but only enter what's actually relevant to the matter. For example, date of birth, country of birth, date of death, place of death. If your client's still alive, they don't even have a date of death or a place of death. So it wouldn't be relevant to your client. But in an estate matter, that actually would be relevant. So just kind of use your common sense. Also, email, phone, cell. The more information you put in here, the better for document automation later on, as well as your other practice management features. For example, if you want to email a client through Leap and you don't have their email address in there, or if you want to email invoices, it's not going to happen, right? Or you'll have to manually enter it every time. You can also add a headshot if you want. There's space for occupation, passport number, maiden name. Any kind of special needs or person notes, like maybe they need a translator, maybe, you know, you want to note something about them, like background information you can put in here, anything like that. There are additional fields for social insurance, driver's license, citizen, previous address, law society number if it's like a lawyer. You can put in, you know, if you want it to be like friendly or formal. So on a letter, do you want it to be Dear Rosie, or do you want it to be Dear Mrs. Goodman? Or do you want to customize it? There's kind of the letter title. So there's options here. You can put in their address. This is always really good, especially if you're going to be creating and sending letters. So maybe I normally use 123 4th Street for my address, and now that's the purchase. So I got to come up with a new number. Because I'm creative, it's 234 5th Street. I can't type. Any sort of instructions like care of, etc. You can also put in future address. So for example, I know Rosie's going to be moving into 123 4th Street. I can put that in here. I'm not going to fill in all the other information. And you can also say valid to and from. So I know that possession and move-in date is going to be in, you know, like January 1st. I'm just putting it there, and then, you know, like ongoing. The joke that we used in training was if you are a criminal defense lawyer and you know that your client is going to be going to prison, you can put the prison address in here. If there's a POA on file, you can put in the POA details. There's also more places for notes, their bank account information. You can also label a card as a supplier. So if you want to be able to track expenses to this card, you'll want to check that off. So examples of that would be an expert witness, a private investigator, a process server, somebody uses a court transcriptionist, anyone that you are going to have disbursements going to or you're paying them, you'll want to mark them as a supplier. Also marketing consent, if you have an email list and they've agreed to be on an email list, you can document that here. Also special fees, like if they have a fee structure that's different from your typical rates, you can note that on their card. And safe custody if you're holding documents or physical items for them. You can also upload documents related to them, so like a copy of their passport, a copy of their driver's license, anything else they've sent you, you can put in here. Once you start like sending emails to the client and things like that, this will populate. Same thing for matters, that will start populating. You'll also notice that there's options for like messaging and calling them and stuff through the app. So we'll get to that later. For now, I'm going to hit save and close. And now here we are in our matter. So that's creating a matter. Again, in real life, takes like just a minute or two. But of course, when I'm talking through everything, it takes a bit longer. The other thing I'm going to show you really quickly is creating a company or business card, because I just created a person card. So I'm just going to go over to menu, new card, and I'm going to do a company card. You can search for the company, like if it's a big enough company, it'll be found. Like if you search, I don't know, like Walmart, you can see different Walmart locations, but you can also just type it, you know, we'll call it Test Company, Test Company Inc. Trading name, company type. So you can see if they're a law firm, a salon, a corporation, an estate. You can also customize this list, but I'll just call them accounting. If you have a business number for them, you can put it in there. Usually I just use my email for the contact information, so that if I'm test sending, it'll go to me. Obviously, if it's a real company, you'll put the company's like main email address, phone number in here. You can also customize, the letter title and the letter Dear. And then there's all sorts of kind of same information as before. The one thing that's a little bit different about a company is you can add staff to a company. So we are going to say, whatever the name is, you know, gender, fill in all the information. You can add an infinite number of staff on here, but you actually have to put in, I guess, a letter before it'll let you go. And then, of course, once you're all done, hit save. So that's how you do kind of a company. Business also kind of works the same way. Government department kind of works the same way. It's just a way of categorizing it. So that's a company card. Technically, on a people card, you can have multiple people. This would be like, I would recommend only using this if it's two parties that you'll never need to separate in terms of having separate like matters or any other information. So for example, if it's a purchase of a house by two people and both people are going to be on title and everything is going to be the same, you can just add two people to the card the same way you would do the staff. Like in this case, it just says A and N. You know, if there's a married couple and they're doing their wills together or something, you can just add two people instead of creating the same card. It's kind of optional. I'm not going to save that. And then I'll just show you quickly viewing your cards and how to search your cards. It's pretty straightforward. You can also do an advanced search. You can also create a new card from here. So there's some options under your cards list.